Hello my friends, my name is Dragonheart, the Prince of Wales, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to a vlog. This is just going to be a simple vlog where I'm going to be talking about the Vanpire accounts. So if you watched my channel recently, and when I say recently, I mean last month, you'll notice that I did a video called how I would implement the Vanpire Coast into Total War, into Warhammer The Old World rather, not Total War. I'm getting my things mixed up, my IPs slightly mixed up there, I do apologise. And it's quite an interesting video. I love vampires. I mentioned in that video that I got into Warhammer through the Total War game and through my friend Paul. And when I first played Total War Warhammer, the first faction I ever played as was the Vampire accounts, because I watched the trailer for the game. I saw the zombie dragon, I saw Manfred, I saw the necromancer, and I was just like, that sounds like a bit of me. So fast forward a few years later, I get into Warhammer The Old World. I start playing as Tomb King, so I get my little fill of the undead from the Tomb Kings. And I end up playing, orcs and goblins, I end up playing Empire and dwarves. And I'm enjoying the games, I'm enjoying playing with the different factions, learning the rules and all the great things that come with the game and the experiences. And I've gone to like a tournament, like I said, I've got another tournament now in October. So it's all coming together nicely for me, and I'm just really enjoying the game as a whole. With that being said, I had an itch to get another army. And yes, as you can tell from what I've just mentioned in the first minute of the video and also the title of the video, I got a Vampire account. So I'm just going to grab what I've got by here quickly just to show you. You can see there's a lot of sprues that have been built by here. Nothing really primed. Well, this we've been black primed the Vargeists by here, but I got a lot of models. I've got 3 Crypt Horrors, I've got 5 Blood Knights, I've got 3 Vargeists, I've got 20 zombies. However, I've got 32 zombies technically, because with all the bits and stuff you get left over on the sprue and tombstones and things like that, you can basically make it bigger than what you want, because it's Horde, and you can obviously swell your ranks when you raise the dead. So I can use 32 if I wanted to. I got some Fellbats here as well. And then downstairs, I've got models that have been painted. And I actually used them for the first time this weekend just gone. That's because my good friend Paul, who is the guy that got me into Warhammer, and he's been like my Warhammer coach, my old world coach, so to speak. He's part of a club, or was part of a club, back when he used to live in Chepstow many years ago. And recently, in the last sort of few months, him and his friends from that club have got together, and they've been having some old world games. They've got into Warhammer The Old World. They've brought some of their old models from back in the day. And they've just been doing 500-point games to begin with. I think they've had a couple of sessions. And Paul very kindly invited me to come along to one of these sessions this Saturday just gone in Cardiff, which was great. So I thought it'd be a good idea to put a 500-point list together. It forced me to paint the 500-point list as well. So it worked in my favour, because like, right, I got 500 points of vampires now done. So it's something checked off my backlog. And obviously with 500 points, it's not going to be that strong. So what I ended up taking was a Vampire Thrall, which was my general. And I gave him the Beguile Vampiric Power, which means that when you're in combat with him, when you go to hit him, you've got to take a leadership check first. If you pass it, it's fine. But if you fail your leadership check, then you can only hit him on a roll of 6. So it's quite good. Obviously, you've got a 1 in 6 chance of being hit, rather than maybe a 2 in 6 or a 3 in 6, depending on what they're hitting on. So that's quite tasty. I had a White Lord, and I gave him the Biting Blade. And I also had a Cairn Wraith. So they were my 3 characters. And then I had 2 units of 10 Skeleton Warriors with full command. I had a unit of 5 Direwolves, no champion. And I had a unit of 10 Crypt Ghouls with a champion. So that was my entire 500-point list that I brought. And I ended up having 4 battles. They didn't go very well. As I say, with Vampire accounts, they're very slow moving. You're relying a lot on magic and reserve moves and things like that, Vanguard, to try and get up the board quickly. But in a 500-point setting, and I didn't take a level 1 wizard, I just didn't see the point. Most people didn't bring wizards. 1 or 2 did, but for the most part, people just didn't bother. So I had 4 battles. So the first battle I fought against Tom and his dwarves. So I think he had a unit of 5 Thunderers, I think he had some Dwarf Warriors, and he had a couple of Gyrocopters, or I think it might have been 1 Gyrocopter and 1 Bomber. I think it was definitely a Bomber there because he was bombing me. Definitely a Bomber. And as to be expected, I got absolutely trounced. I just basically crept up the board slowly, and he just kept shooting me with all of his things until I literally crumble. So that was how I would sum up that battle. The highlight of that battle for me, though, was I had my direwolves on the left flank, and of course I've got like my reserve move, and I've got swift stride, and I got all these things to get me up the board quickly. And I declared a charge, which I would have had to have rolled high on, but it was possible. I declared a charge into his Thunderers. He does his stand and shoot. He kills 2 direwolves. I fail my charge anyway, so I just stumble forward. Next turn, I end up charging him again. He does the same thing. He shoots 2 more direwolves, but I do get my charge. So eventually I get to his front line with just 1 direwolf. This 1 lone direwolf held up his Thunderers for 3 rounds of combat somehow. He just wasn't able to kill it because every single time it was like, right, you've done a wound. Okay, I need a 6 up to get my regen. I roll a 6, and that just kept happening, which was quite funny. So I held him up there, and that went quite well. But that was my very first battle with the Vanpire accounts, and to be expected against dwarves, just not a very good matchup for them, especially in that point scenario. In my second battle, I fought against Ben and his Grand Cathay army. So Grand Cathay are a brand new faction in Warhammer The Old World. It was nice to see these models on the table. My very first time playing against Grand Cathay. So he had 3 units in total. So he had a Shogungan Lord on a Longma. I think that was his Lord. And then he had a unit of Jade Warriors, and he had a unit of Jade Cavalry. Now, this was quite a funny battle because even though I got more drops and stuff than him, in my head I'm thinking, right, try and entice him to charge and just try and envelop and just try and get some flanks and try and win combat that way. And I said to him, have you got any magic? He said, if I roll a certain spell, I will have magic. Otherwise, no. I'm thinking, right, I got an ethereal Cain Wraith here. This is going to be in my favour. So he rolls his magic, and he gets Fireball, which is a magical fireball. So, of course, it does do magic. And also, if it hits things that are flammable, they don't get the regen save. So basically, he rolls for that. I creep up the board, and unfortunately, I'm in range with my my Cain Wraith. He fireballs it, gets it off. I can only throw a Fated Dispel, which I just missed out narrowly. I think I need like 1 more and I would have actually dispelled it. He gets it off. He does like 4, I think it's like 4 wounds he did. The Cain Wraith only has a few wounds, and I can't do anything about it. It just dies. It's already dead, but it dies again. So the Cain Wraith dies, and that was my plan out the window straight away. But it was a pretty good battle because my skeleton warriors that I had sort of at the center of the board, basically my wolves go up the left flank like last time. They cause a bit of mayhem. They end up dying to the Jade Cavalry, but they actually did take out 1 unit, like 1 model from the 5. So I was quite happy with that. So we went from 5 to 4. The 4 of them then come down the board and charge into my skeleton warriors. My skeleton warriors do well because they got charged. They can use their supporting attacks, which is really, really good. So they support, they brace, they get their supporting attacks in. I got full command with the banner as well and stuff, and the champion and things. So we end up having combat for a couple of rounds, and my skeleton warriors end up winning combat. I think we drew the first one, and then I think I didn't lose anybody the first time, but I killed one of his, and then it went like into a draw because of like banners and stuff. Then I went to the second round of combat, and I ended up winning, even though I think I lost a skeleton. I think I still had enough to win because he just didn't kill anything. Or he killed 1, but I think I killed more. It's something like that. And then basically long story short, he had 2 horses left. They flee. I chase, of course, some skeletons. I don't get that far. And then in his next turn, he tries to rally. He fails his rally and he flees away. And he ends up only being like 3 to 4 inches off the side of the board. So if we did have 1 more turn, it's very possible they would have actually flew right off the board, which would have been funny. But they were fleeing at the end of combat, so I would have had some points for that. But the rest of my army just didn't do that well. We end up losing combat to his Longma and his Jade Warriors. They end up defeating my Crypt Ghouls, and yeah, I still had units on the table at the end of the battle. I think he had just over 100 points, so it was something like I think he had like 300 and something points, whereas I had like 200 and something, but it was over 100 point difference, so he would have claimed victory there. So then we go to my third battle. So I fight Luke in the third battle, and he has dwarves. So he basically had the very similar composition as what Tom had. So he had 2 gyrocopters, he had dwarf warriors, and I think he had like an engineer as his champion, and then thunderers. He had like 5 thunderers. And this was a bit different. So I think learning from my first battle, I kind of had an idea of what to do. My ethereal Cain Wraith wasn't going to go on a jolly chasing copters all around the battlefield this time. I was just going to send it straight forward, press the W key, and go in a straight line towards his thunderers and dwarf warriors. And that's what I ended up doing. My wolves sort of distracted both of his copters. They sort of flew around to the flank, and that opened up a bit of a pathway for me to go forward with my entire army, just slowly ambling forward. What you got to remember with these kind of things as well is that this new player, so we sometimes get some of the rules wrong. So, for example, in this battle, I didn't realise, and Luke did realise, that with a gyrocopter, you can actually march and still shoot, which I thought was a bit overpowered. But that is something that you can do, which is insane. So you can, rather than fly 9, you can like fly 18 and shoot things. So that ended up happening. That didn't happen the first time, but it happened in the last couple of turns of the battle, which obviously did a bit of damage to my skeleton warriors. But in total, so my ethereal Cain Wraith gets to his thunderers, and we kill a bunch of them, but there's still like 2 or 3 of them left, I think. And then there's like a big cluster of skeleton warriors, crypt ghouls, and his dwarf warriors in like the right flank. But at the end of 6 turns, all that had been killed basically was I killed his thunderers, or most of his thunderers. But yeah, I killed his thunderers, which I think were worth 60 points. He killed my direwolves, which were worth 40 points. So technically I had the favourable match because I won by 10. But in Old World, I believe you still have to have a 100-point difference to claim victory. So we ended up drawing, basically. So I was a draw, but I fought that battle much better than I did against the dwarves the first time around in the first battle. Then in my fourth and final battle, I played Francis and his High Elves. This was a really good game, and he had some magic as well. So he was using the magical spell which imposes stupidity onto you. And with this battle, so I ended up losing this battle, but it was like a war of attrition. So I killed one of his... I'm trying to think what I killed now. I can't remember. It was like 2 days ago, I can't remember. I killed, I think it was like a unit of spears or something like that. He had his cavalry sort of go around the flank. I killed his champion, that's right. I killed his champion, and I killed like another unit of his. He killed my ghouls, my wolves, but I still had both. I had a unit of... I had my spearman with my vampire lord still intact at the end, which is a lot of points. So I preserved a lot of points. And basically, he won, but he won with like 120 points, or 130 points, something like that. But if he hadn't killed my White Lord, which he did right at the end of the game, it would have been a draw. So it was fine margins, and it was just the fact that my White Lord rolled badly, just didn't get the saves that I wanted in that particular round of combat, didn't get the kills that I wanted in that particular round of combat, and that's how it went. But it was a very good experience. I really enjoyed it. 500 points is an experience. First time ever doing 500-point battles in Warhammer The Old World. I really enjoyed it. I quite like the minimalist kind of feel of those kind of battles. It's something I wouldn't mind doing again, to be honest with you. It's quite interesting to try and build a 500-point competitive list. It's a very big challenge, but yeah, good fun. So I think Paul said that they're looking to maybe do this once a month. So I'm hoping to do more of this with them in the future. I think that'll be great. There were a couple of people there that I didn't play. There's somebody there called Milo. I didn't play him. I think he had a Bretonian army. And then Cameron, who I've played before, and Paul, who I've obviously played loads of times. I didn't get to play either of them either. But either way, I'm looking forward to doing more battles with them. I have a 1,000-point army that I'm building up for the vampires, which I must say is very tasty, because they said that they're looking to do 1,000 points in the future. So I've got, well, I'm not going to tell you what I've got. That's going to be a surprise. Maybe in the future there'll be a video or something where I'll talk about my lists and things. I think it'd be good to do a list video about vampire counts anyway, and things that I'm building, 'cause I think that'll be really, really fun. And I would love to do 1 or 2 battle reports with them. I didn't take any photos this weekend because it was my first time playing with them. I don't want to be that guy that goes, I want to take photos of all our battles and stuff, because some people might not want that. And I'm there to play the game, and then everything else is sort of secondary. So if I do want to make a video, it's different with Paul, because like Paul makes YouTube videos himself, and he's done it a long time, and he sort of gets it. We've made lots of videos together in the past. But with people I've never met before, it's kind of weird. But in the future, who knows, maybe we might make a battle report or two. You know, even if like I finish my battle and I'm there watching one of them battle, it's like, oh, we got the final turns of this battle. We have Cathay against whoever. What's going to happen here? I think that'd be quite interesting as well, to get those creative juices flowing. So that's something to maybe consider. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end this video here because I realize I am rambling quite a lot now. Hope you had a great week. Hope to speak to you soon. Take care, and bye for now.